All right. So let's talk about the power of coding, or why you should learn to code, okay? So in my opinion, programming is not only a good to have skill, but in today's tech-driven society, I believe it's an essential skill to have. And this is an invaluable skill that you can use for the rest of your life, whether you are essentially a beginner programmer or you're looking to change careers. Learning how to code is something that would be beneficial to you. Okay, so now let's talk about the diverse opportunities in tech. So first and foremost, knowing how to code opens you up to a lot of different opportunities. And one of them is being a software developer. So as a software developer, you're essentially creating some software that can be used by yourself or by other companies to improve the lives of many people around the world. So another field you can get into is web development. So when I first started learning how to code, there were a lot of people who were asking me if I know how to design websites. Till this day, I believe web development is one of the most in-demand skills to have as a programmer. And that is because each and every single day, there's a new company or business that is being formed. And each one of these businesses are looking for a web presence, okay, a way for their customers to interact with them online. So what do? They look for a web developer. So as a web developer, you are able to use your knowledge and your creativity to design a website for various companies or yourself. So the other field you can get into is data analytics, okay? So data analytics is quite broad, but in this day and age, one of the biggest uses of data analytics is machine learning. In every interaction we have with technology generates some type of data. And the role of someone who is into data analytics is to basically analyze that data, recognize patterns, or find some type of meaningful information about that data that can be used to improve the future experience or to make predictions. So just to give you a basic example, when you're shopping on a website like Amazon, based on the purchases that you make, you may see some other recommended products for you that you might be interested in. Or if you are using some type of streaming service like Netflix or Disney Plus to watch movies, every movie that you watch or show that you watch is data that you're providing to the website. And based on the patterns it notices in your data, it can recommend movies or shows that you might like. So that's just one of the many examples of the impact that data analytics has. So now let's talk about cybersecurity. So if you're someone who's very interested in hacking or learning how to hack, cybersecurity is for you. And you might be wondering, how can I make a living from hacking, or what does hacking have to do with the cybersecurity field? So believe it or not, companies will actually pay you to try to hack them. And that's what we call white hat hackers, people who are paid to hack or to find vulnerabilities in a company's software. And the reason why companies will pay you to hack them is because they'll rather find out what type of vulnerabilities they have from you, rather than having some random hacker somewhere hack them and expose all of their data or do something that can negatively impact the company. And I don't see the demand for cybersecurity going away anytime soon, because people are always going to find creative ways to hack companies. And if a company doesn't have a cybersecurity person who can stay on top of all of these new creative ways to hack, the company is essentially leaving itself vulnerable to security threats. So these are just a few examples of different opportunities that you may have in tech, but just keep in mind that each and every one of these opportunities comes with a high paying job, okay? So this even makes learning how to code or pursuing a career in coding even more beneficial. So another benefit of learning to code is the freelancing opportunities or the remote work opportunities. So as I'm speaking to you right now, I am somewhere in the Caribbean and I'm choosing to work in an environment that is not the typical office space, okay? Because I believe that your environment has a very big impact on your mood or your productivity or your level of motivation. And because I decided to go down the coding path, I'm enjoying the flexibility of being able to work anywhere. And because of the increasing demand of coding skills, many companies or employers are looking to give people more and more incentives to come and work with them. And one of the incentives is being able to work from anywhere. So like I mentioned before, there's a huge demand for programmers. And I've been on both sides, both the job seeker and the person looking to hire someone. And I can tell you it's probably much harder to find qualified candidates than trying to find someone to hire you. So as long as you develop your programming skills, you would eventually reach a level where you have a lot of different options to pick from in terms of who you want to work with. Okay, so now let's talk about how programming can help you enhance your problem solving or creativity skills. The act of coding sharpens your critical thinking skills. So let me give you an example. When I first started learning how to code, I came to a realization that the computer is really not as smart as we all think it is, okay? The computer runs on instructions and you have to give it each and every single instruction in order for it to achieve a task. You can't make assumptions that the computer knows how to do this or that by itself. You'll notice that instead of just thinking about things on just a high level or surface level, you will start to think about things much more deeply. You'll start to see the building blocks of how things work and how they come together to create something even more massive. So basically, you'll develop a structured approach to tackling problems or issues, not only in coding, but in every area of life. If you're able to instruct the computer to get to a point where it's doing amazing things, then you'll be able to do that in other situations, not just in tech. So there's a strong correlation between coding and creativity. Most talented programmers or coders that you see are probably the most creative people that you've probably encountered. And that is because the act of coding itself forces you to think outside the box. So, for example, if you stumble on some type of bug in your code and you're trying to fix that bug, you'll find yourself trying different approaches and different outside the box thinking in order to come to that solution. So people who are generally good at programming are also really creative. So we can see the impact of coding all around us, okay? So let me give you some of my personal experiences. So back when there was a pandemic, I remember I developed some type of swell under my eyelid and I had no idea what the issue was. And I also didn't want to travel to a doctor. So I simply just downloaded an app, okay? Basically a health app that helps diagnose your issues and find you a virtual doctor that can either give you prescriptions or suggest some remedies for your particular health condition. So the first thing I did was input my symptoms, what I was experiencing, and also took a couple of photos to upload to the app. And within a matter of seconds, let's give it a second, there's a helicopter in this area. God damn, it's a beautiful day outside today. So like I was saying, based on the symptoms I described and the photos I uploaded, I was able to get some diagnosis, and also a doctor was assigned to me, a virtual doctor. The appointment was set up, everything was done throughout the app. It ended up being nothing serious. It was just a clogged pore under my eye, and I just had to put some type of heat pad underneath my eye for a few hours a day, and that worked. So this is an example of how technology or coding was able to solve a problem and make life more convenient. So another impact of coding and tech is in the education innovation, okay? So nowadays, instead of sitting in a classroom for several hours and having several different classmates all learning the same thing, you can have a more personalized education curriculum, and you can learn at your own pace when you're learning virtually. So for example, with a platform like EasyCoder, you're able to learn at your own pace, okay? And that means that you'll never feel rushed like how you would in a traditional classroom setting. And also, you can solidify your learning with a lot of interactive activities that you might not find in a traditional lecture or classroom type of settings. Oh my goodness, so many helicopters. I wonder what's going on that island. Just wait for it to pass. Okay, so another impact is for entrepreneurs, okay? So if you're the type of person who doesn't like to conform to a 9 to 5 or a typical job, and you want to start your own business by yourself, the ability to code would really help you, because nowadays those who know how to code are able to disrupt big industries. So think about Uber, for example. Before, taxis were the way to go, but a few coders somewhere decided that, okay, we want to change the status quo, or we want to make the ride-hailing service or the taxi service more convenient. And they were able to write some code, develop an app that disrupted that whole industry. So hopefully by now you understand the power of coding and its ability to shape your future. And also, you should understand that coding is not only a useful skill to have in order to get a high-paying job, but it's also a useful skill to have because it impacts so many other different aspects of your life, such as your creativity, your critical thinking abilities, and making yourself a person who is in demand in this tech-driven society. So hopefully, as you can see now, coding is not just being able to learn some lines of code. It's much more than that, okay? When you learn the fundamentals of coding, you naturally become a more creative person. You also build a lot of resilience, because many times in coding, you're trying to find different approaches to solve problems. And also, you develop a mindset of continuous learning, because in technology, things are always changing. And so you're always going to encounter some new, interesting, cool things to learn. So let's embark on this code learning journey together.